Welcome to the new episode, and in this episode we are going to talk about the aperture. And in my previous episode I was talking about the shutter speed. So in the beginning of my episodes I will explain the shutter speed, ISO, and the aperture. So if you missed my episode about the shutter speed, you can just go ahead and watch the first episode. So what is the aperture is all about? So as I was explaining, the shutter speed is dealing with the body only, but the aperture is all about lenses. And as you remember in my previous video, I was talking about that the photography is all about the managing light. So it looks like how many lights you need to get inside your body camera. And beside of the shutter speed, as you remember, the shutter speed is dealing with the body only, and the aperture is all about the lenses. So what is the aperture is? Let me just play the role. So for example, I will play the role of the lenses, and let's imagine I have the window. I just will open the window up. I will get my light inside, and I will close it. So as wide as I open my window, that means I will get a lot of light inside. Let's imagine your body has a shutter speed over the 200 of the second, and if you get aperture very small and the shutter speed of the 200, you will get not that much light. So the aperture inside of the room is not the same the aperture in the outside the room, because in outside, especially during the daylight, and there's a lot of ambient light. So that means like you need to change your aperture. So the aperture is measured by f, and if you have f all the way f22, that means your aperture is very small, as you see on the screen. So f22 is the smallest aperture, and it goes all the way to the biggest one. So f1.8 is not the same as f22. So if the numbers are decreases from the big number to the small one, that means your aperture is getting bigger and bigger. And whenever your numbers of the f-stops are increasing, so your aperture getting small. And the second issue that aperture is playing a big role. If you want to take the portrait photography, and especially if you want to take the picture of the single student, and you want to get your students in the front and blur out the background, so your aperture should be wide enough. And if you are taking the group of the students, so for instance, for example, like 4 or 5 students, even like 20 students, so if you are using the wide aperture, so you will be focusing on one student only, and other students will be blurred out. And so for that situation, you need to use your the small aperture. It's about like maybe 5 or 6.5 or so on. So it depends on how many students you have. And if you are taking the picture of the students at the same time, you need to get the background in the focus. So your aperture should be small enough. So do not forget, the aperture is all about how wide your lens is open. So you can open all the way to the 1.8 or 1.4, and whenever you close your aperture, like minimize your aperture, it will increase like f10, f16, f22, and so on. So do not forget, the photography is all about light, and depends on how much light you want to get inside. And thank you very much, and for my next episode I will be talking about ISO, and just keep tuned on my YouTube channel.